Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience.
Are your eBay sales struggling? Maybe your listings have been up for a while with no sales. Optiseller are the data optimization experts with the tools you need to control, manage, and monitor your online store performance. Their powerful tools will drive your listing visibility, conversion, and ultimately help you sell more online. So what are you waiting for? Go to get.optiseller.com/pod and use the code podcast30 to get 30% off the plan of your choice. That's get.optiseller.com/pod. And remember to use the promo code podcast30 to get 30% off of any plan.
Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Dawn Sinkule, who is the founder of Digital Dawn, and she is an MBA graduate with more than 17 years experience working at the management level for Fortune 25 company. She's now making waves in the digital marketing world as a strategy and business growth consultant. Dawn and her team work with 6- and 7-figure business owners who want to grow, expand, and explode their businesses. Digital Dawn provides business strategies, automation, and systems to ensure your business turns from chaos to cash flow. Welcome to the podcast, Dawn.
Thank you, Arlen, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. And thank you for joining me. Yeah, we're super excited to talk to you about our topic of today, which is going to be about customer retention and customer retention strategies specifically for e-commerce businesses.
Yeah.
Because it definitely is a hot topic today. In the digital world, a lot of focus, of course, is always on driving sales, driving traffic to a business, but a lot of times retaining existing customers and increasing their value is almost kind of like a second thought. So super excited to dig deep into customer retention strategies. But, before we get into all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background and specifically how you got into what you're doing today?
Sure. Well, I worked for one of the major retailers for more than 17 years. And as you mentioned, I was a corporate executive for them. And so my whole background has really been in the retail and e-commerce space specifically. And in 2014, I decided I was working really hard for somebody else and I wanted to start working really hard for myself. And so I took the entrepreneurial leap and started my own agency in 2014. And we've been helping business owners now for close to 7 years in advertising and working on strategies and growth and going into markets and all sorts of different things. So it's been a wild ride, definitely over the last 7 years, working with e-com businesses for sure.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I definitely understand. We deal with e-commerce businesses day in, day out, and it has definitely been a wild ride. There's been a lot going on, a lot of changes. Everybody's, of course, had to pivot a bit due to this global pandemic, of course. And so, everybody is just, it's keeping everybody on their toes.
Exactly. And it's one of those things, this last year, so many of our e-com businesses have had to really shift strategies and tactics. And I think this is such a great topic to talk about with, retention strategies, because now there's so many e-commerce businesses coming into the market too this last year because so many people have been either laid off or had to shift, or, brick and mortar businesses now are shifting to getting online. So the e-com space is getting kind of noisy in some markets as well. And so customer retention is such a huge thing for so many businesses.
Yeah,
and something we don't talk about a lot. Like you said, it's not the shiny penny sort of thing, right? More driving traffic.
That is very true. And so since, of course, the customer retention is our topic for today, what I want to do is really kind of start off with kind of you defining it. And actually, I can think a common question that a lot of business owners have, and they may not know the difference, is really what's the difference between what is customer retention, first of all, and what is the difference between, a customer retention strategy versus a customer win back strategy? Because you hear that often, trying to win back customers. What is the difference, if you can kind of break it down for us?
Sure. Well, I think about a customer retention strategy as you've acquired a customer, and just that you're keeping them with repeat purchases, right? They're coming back to you more and more, or coming back to you in a repeatable sort of way. Versus when I think about a win back strategy, it's more of you haven't purchased anything from me for a while, or I haven't heard from you, or you haven't done anything with us over the last several months. And now I'm needing to win back your trust or win back your business through different efforts, versus maybe a customer retention strategy or a customer retention process might be more of doing more of the same, I guess, versus a win back is, in my mind, more where I've lost you and now I've got to convince you to come back. Right.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. And I think when you think about, a customer retention strategy specifically, or you think about, it's really not overly complicated to have a customer retention strategy, but it can be so profitable for you if you do it well, right? And building that loyalty with your customer base, and how you do it. There's really simple methods of how you can win customers or get customers to be loyal to you without having to go to the extremes. So I don't know if you want to get into all of that right now, but
if you can definitely break it down, because that's really the big question. Like you said, with the retention strategy, you're trying to get those existing customers to purchase more again, or if you're, let's say, a service-based business, you're trying to keep them a customer. You want to keep them paying, whether it's a monthly fee, an annual fee, whatever it is. You want them to stay. And so what are some basic ways to do that?
Well, I think particularly when you think about e-commerce, one of the biggest, sort of customer retention programs is around loyalty, right? And a loyalty-based program, or a subscription-based program. And a lot of times when you think about, how e-commerce is set up, we don't always think about it in a way from a loyalty perspective. And a loyalty program can look different for a variety of different industries, specifically for e-commerce. When you think about let's say a dietary supplement business or something along those lines, it kind of makes sense, right? To have a subscription base, like every month you get my product sent to you. And if you go on this loyalty program or the subscription-based program, you get maybe a 5% discount or 10% discount if you go on auto renew. Same thing with like a makeup or cosmetics brand. That's also a very common strategy, is to have a reoccurring subscription or a loyalty-based program. Where it gets a little tricky is if you're not in an industry where that makes sense. So for example, if you're selling art or something that doesn't naturally have a subscription kind of service base to it, how can you think about those loyalty programs? And a lot of times, we help our customers think about unique ways that are specific to their business. So, thinking about referral based, you refer somebody to us and we give you a discount on your next purchase. Or if you, buy one, we'll give you the next purchase a 10% off, or some sort of discounted, loyalty type rate or something like that. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can think about loyalty programs depending on your specific industry. But there's also a lot of new stuff coming out, like text message marketing, right? And bringing customers back to you or keeping them engaged with you through text messaging. Making sure that they understand, hey, we've got a discount. Hey, we've got a sale going on or something like that. A lot of times now we know that text messaging is bringing back customers, loyal customers to you with a really high percentage open rate. So I would say, text messaging is one of those things now that everybody's used to getting them and seeing them. And that's a great way to bring a customer, a loyal customer back to purchase.
Gotcha. Great tips for sure, because like you said, it's a lot easier, really, once you have these existing customers. It's a lot easier to the cost of actually that you're gonna have to put in to retain them is always a lot less than what it is to acquire them. That's always usually the case.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people don't necessarily recognize that it's, a repeat purchase is a lot more profitable than having to go get somebody else again, and you've already purchased them, and that profitability rate is really there because you've already spent the time in building that, the know, like, and trust factor. They've already purchased from you once. Now you just need to serve them again. And it is a lot more profitable, even though there may be some expenses to the retention strategies, or there may be some expenses to being able to, run some of these programs. In the grand scheme of things, it's a lot cheaper to retain versus having to go get again.
Yeah, definitely. Now, if we're looking, specifically at e-commerce businesses, and when we're thinking about retention, I'll give an example. Let's say we're dealing with a company that sells, consumable products. Maybe they are, because I deal with a lot of companies that are in the fashion space, or excuse me, not the fashion space, the skincare space.
Yes.
That's a huge space right now. Where there's companies that are doing really a ton of sales consistently. And so let's say we're dealing with a business like that. And usually, with skincare, it's specific to the type of person. Usually with these skincare brands, they have, these really unique niche products, and that they have certain products that usually is what kind of pulls people into their ecosystem. And so let's say somebody gets pulled into one of these skincare brands from a specific product that maybe the particular product, just as an example, helps to moisturize your skin. And that's what they attracted them. Maybe they saw some ads. They say, okay, that's what I want. They get in there, they purchase that. But, that was really all that they wanted. They weren't really thinking about anything else. What is the process of, once you get these customers in there, they're in there, they purchase what they wanted. How do you, kind of win them over with and expose them to your other products without being too aggressive and too, trying to force other things down their throats? What's some methods for doing that?
Yeah. I think that's great, particularly in the skincare industry, or in beauty in general. A lot of times, you do come for one specific thing, like you said, and I've seen successful strategies work, particularly on checkout, where you're getting ready to check out. And before you do, say, hey, our customers have also purchased this alongside of the moisturizer, or if your skin is dry, you might want to try this, or, have you thought, and helping them sort of understand what other offers you have that would complement what they're purchasing. And I think you can do it really simply with, just simple automation at the end of the checkout process that's not overly aggressive. I mean, I hate going to a store, checking out, and I'm getting order after order or offer after offer after offer. And I'm like, I just want to check out. Right. So making it so that it is a complement to whatever it is that they're purchasing, or giving them some education about the other products that you have available that might complement what they're currently purchasing. Things like customers have oftentimes purchased this in addition to that moisturizer, or we found that these two products work best together, and giving them, without having to think too much, giving them sort of that integration right in front of them, right as they're ready to make that purchase, is a really simple, easy way to get an additional order or increase your average order value in a way that doesn't feel in your face, but it's also helping me like, oh, I didn't know you sold that, or I didn't recognize that that was something that would complement, my moisturizer or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've seen that work really well.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think these days with most, e-commerce shopping cart solutions, a lot of businesses that are using the hosted platforms such as the Shopify's,
Yes.
the Wixes of the
Yeah.
world, BigCommerce, all of that, Squarespace. I think all of those platforms, have some form of functionality in them that will allow you to do that. If they don't, they do have integrations or separate apps that you can add onto your store. That's the biggest thing these days, where if they don't have that as their core functionality, you can get an app. And I've seen that there's several apps with most of those shopping cart platforms that will allow the upsell, the post checkout upsell, and giving those options. So there's a lot of ways to do it for sure.
And I've also seen, strategies around sharing reviews of other products as well that help customers make those decisions. So to your point, there's apps on those platforms that you can use a lot of times to help that. And then there's also apps that help share like, hey, 9 out of 10 customers have purchased this in addition to, and they've loved it, or sharing a video of why this product works so well with the other product. And, just even those little simple apps that you can add in just make a huge difference. And you're right, Shopify has plenty and all the other platforms, and they're relatively inexpensive. And I like them because they're customizable in a lot of cases so that you can pick what goes nicely together, and you can really formulate a nice, upsell for the product that they're particularly looking at. So
yeah, definitely. That's definitely good to know. Now, as far as these strategies are concerned, whether it's the customer loyalty, whether it's these upsell, educating your customers about similar complementary products, which you can definitely do, not only at checkout, but you can even do that through an email campaign after purchase. So that's another common thing that I know can be done. Once you're doing all of these things, what are some ways to measure the success really of these different strategies? And of course, other than, seeing the average order value of a particular customer, what are some other things that we can do to measure the success of these?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times we talk about repeat purchase probability or the probability of someone actually coming back. And, it's a really easy calculation. Actually, it's the number of, customers that have purchased over the last year and how many times have they come back, it's divided by, and it's the number of times, that they have purchased again and again. And I think, on a lot of different platforms, like you were mentioning, Shopify or Wix or, any of them have the ability for you to be able to measure that very easily as well, which I absolutely love. Shopify in particular has a return rate percentage that you can actually look at daily. You can look at it by the year, and you can actually see trends of repeat customers and how many people have actually returned to your store. And I think you want to try to think of that, in a way that, depending on, although repeat customers maybe only make up a smaller percentage of your total, they potentially make up a much larger percentage of your annual revenue because they are loyal and they're more likely to continue to purchase from you. So making sure that you've got some sort of tracking mechanism or some way within your platform that you can measure it. And if you can, again, it's just kind of simple math, right? The number of customers that purchased times 365 days divided by the total number of customers. So you can mathematically figure it out yourself very easily. But again, there's a lot of customer platforms that already do it for you.
Gotcha. That's good to know. And I wasn't aware of that return rate percentage, with Shopify. And I know the other platforms have something similar. That does make it super easy to see kind of where you stand, and then, what you can do to try to improve that. So that is definitely good to know.
Yeah. And I think that, when you think about the repeat customer rate too, those repeat customers oftentimes, like you said, have a higher average order value as well because they are coming back. And so really nurturing them so that you don't have to go do a win back strategy, which we know is more expensive and a lot of times not nearly as successful. Making sure that you're really driving, home that particular piece is important.
Gotcha. Now with customer retention, just if there are any, clear do's and don'ts, what would they be? Is there some things that you should definitely do and versus those that you shouldn't do?
Yeah, I think that when you think about a customer retention strategy, building that know, like, and trust factor and building that loyalty is so important. And that can be done through the user experience online, but it also can be done with your after sale marketing. And I think a lot of times where I see, e-com businesses kind of drop off is they don't do an after purchase campaign, an email campaign, or a follow-up sequence or education on the product. And a lot of times, you think, well, it's an e-commerce. What am I saying? What am I talking about? What else they purchased my product. What else am I going to share? But it's a perfect opportunity for you to share more about your company, to help understand why you started it, what's unique about your product, how it came to market. I mean, it's a lot of what, nurturing and explaining your particular product or your company to your customers after the fact. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I see e-com businesses miss is this really amazing opportunity to build that loyalty after the purchase is already over.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the things I would say is probably a definite do. A definite don't is to take it to the extreme and then bombard them, right? With text messaging and emailing and constant all the time, discounting, or different things like that. I think sometimes, we've got so much coming at us in so many different ways that people have a tendency to get a little bit annoyed in certain cases by too much. But having the right balance between, taking advantage of the opportunity after purchase versus doing too much. There's probably a sweet spot there, but definitely take advantage of it.
Gotcha. That's great. Well, that's good to know. I'm definitely have the experience where I've been bombarded by certain brands where I purchase from, where it's just like, wow, they flood your inbox with just all types of offers. And, as a business owner and me being in the e-commerce space, they mean well. They're just trying to, increase their, their sales. I don't blame them, but like you said, there is a fine line because people these days can get annoyed because I think brands these days, they can be a little bit aggressive with their outreach tactics. And so,
right. Nobody wants to know that your moisturizer is on sale 4 times a day, right? Nobody needs that. But I think there is that level of personalization in understanding about your brand and understanding about your company that does help build that loyalty and that retention piece. I'm much more apt to buy something when I know the history of it, or I know why it was created, or I know the formula of it, or I know why it was, or the backstory behind it. You kind of just get, integrated and you feel like, oh, I love this brand because of, they do X, Y, and Z in addition to the product itself. So there's a fine line between annoyance and education or teaching your customers about you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Dawn, as we get ready to wrap things up, I wanted to just kind of pick your brain a little bit and see if there's, at least one company that you're familiar with that has been successful with their customer retention strategy, and what specifically did they do?
Well, I think the biggest one that I think of, that we all think of a lot of times, is Starbucks, right? Okay. Like Starbucks has one of the best retention, loyalty strategies out there. I mean, how many times have you purchased Starbucks? Maybe even this week, right? And you just keep going back for more and more and more.
For sure.
You're like, why am I spending $7 on a coffee? When you think about it. But it's because they have built such a brand and such a loyal base around it. And they've done, such amazing things. But really, it comes back to they sell a high quality product. They make it really easy for you to get it. And they offer discounts and promotions. And so if you kind of keep it simple like that, they have a high quality product, they make it easy for you to get, and they offer you discounts and promotions, and take that and apply it to your business,
Yeah.
Pretty easy, right? It seems so simple,
Right.
right. But that's one of the companies that I think of when I think about really strong loyalty or brand retention. If you are a Starbucks fan, you are a Starbucks fan. You will not go to another, you won't go to a Caribou or a Dunn Brothers or another, you're stuck on Starbucks, and that's what you purchase over and over again. And it's because of that loyalty, because of the product quality, and because they're everywhere, right? It's easy to get.
Yeah, very true. Very true. That's a great example. And I see that all the time. I'm not a coffee drinker myself, but there's a Starbucks near where I live. And it amazes me. I think it was one Saturday afternoon. I'm here in Florida, and it's hot. And of course they have cold drinks, but I mean, the line for their drive-through was just, it was like almost crazy. Down the block. I couldn't believe it. And it's always like that.
Why are you sitting for coffee? Right?
Yeah,
you're waiting 20 minutes.
Exactly. So they definitely have their customer retention strategies down pat. So yes, great example. And that's something that, all of us in the e-commerce business can actually study, look at what they're doing, go in there, sign up for their mailing list, try to get any offers into you, and, just observe, every point of contact that they have with their customer. And I think you can learn a lot from what they're doing for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Arlen, is that, a lot of times when you're not really sure what to do, go to the people that are doing it the best. And like you said, get on their mailing list, or even if it's not something as big as Starbucks, if you've got a competitor in your space that's doing something really well, you should always be on their mailing list. You should always be seeing what they're doing and following them and watching them, and, maybe taking things from them as you can, but, or ideas from them as you can, but, you should always be aware of what your competition is doing, as well as what, other major companies are doing.
No, definitely. Yeah. So I definitely think that's a great thing to do, because there's a lot of money and research that goes on with some of these brands for the decisions that they make. So you can learn a lot for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, Dawn, it's been awesome talking to you. I have definitely learned a lot, and I hope our listeners have as well. Customer retention, as we know, as we've discussed, is really a big thing, and it's something that can definitely help increase your sales, because you're looking, internally to the customers that you already have, as opposed to, focusing on bringing in new customers. So great topic for today. But what I always like to do as we get ready to close things out and switch gears, just so our audience members can get to know you just a little bit better. You don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think we would all be interested to know about yourself?
Well, before I got into the world of retail and e-commerce, I actually was a professional chef. And so I have a deep desire, passion for food. And I love being in food. I love to cook. I'm a total foodie. So this last year has been really hard, not being able to go out and do stuff or whatever, but we spent a lot of time at home. My husband was actually a chef too. And we love to cook and host and do all sorts of fun things. So
that's awesome. That is great. Professional chef. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
I'd love to have dinner at your guys' place. Both of you guys cook. Yeah. I could imagine I could imagine the dishes that you guys come up with. So that's awesome. And thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate that. Lastly, before we let you go, if any of our listeners want to reach out to you, pick your brain any more about customer retention, or really about anything digital marketing concerned, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Sure. They can just go to our website at digitaldawnagency.com, and we've got a contact page there where you can book a call. We can talk strategy. We also have some free resources available for Shopify specifically, and some other, conversion rate optimization tips and tricks. So digitaldawnagency.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I definitely encourage all of our listeners to check you guys out there at digitaldawnagency.com, because I'm always a fan of getting access to free resources. So I encourage everybody to check you out there. And if they want to take it a step level, I see that you can book a call with somebody on your team to see how you can help them better. So thank you for offering that. And thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks, Arlen. Thank you so much. It was really fun talking with you. I appreciate it very much. It's great.
Yeah, likewise. It's been awesome.
Thank you for listening to the E-Commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.